Hello, friends and future subscribers. So today we had the 3.15 announcement. It was crazy. A lot of things are changing. The new mechanic looks pretty interesting. It's definitely a mashup of a bunch of different things. It's got some Blight, it's got some Legion, it's got, who knows, right? Big flask rework. We got 19 new gems. We got all that. There's going to be a bunch of videos going live in the next 24 hours of people spending hours and hours talking about all of those things. You're going to be able to get 100 different takes on that. I don't want to pig pile on top of that. You know, you can get the perspective that you want from the content creator that you want there. I want to offer my own unique perspective from a totally different viewpoint here. So there's obviously a lot of concerns about the balance changes that GGG is making, their approach to that, their mindset, how they're thinking about all that stuff, etc. And I just wanted to put my perspective out there the way that I think of it. I have a history of playing games at a fairly high level, but I also am now an adult, an advanced adult, a level 10 adult. You know, I have the perspective of having to balance playing games with other responsibilities. So I think I have a pretty good perspective there that might be different than you're going to get from anyone else. So that's what this video is about. I don't go into any detail about the mechanics or anything there. So that's what you can expect for this video. Also, over the next week, you guys will be choosing my league starter. We reached a subscriber goal on the Twitch stream, and I just wanted to let all you guys on YouTube know as well. We are going to be doing March Madness style brackets in the Discord. Everyone gets to vote on the league starter. I'd love for you guys to participate if you want to. Joining the Discord will be in the description below, so get in on that if you want to. It's going to be a little scary, but also exciting. Anyway, let's get into the video. The one thing I did want to address that people were saying a little bit earlier was there were a lot of comments about, like, you know, does the game not respect my time as someone who works and all that? And you know, and I have to have this, I have to respond to this with the, you know, with the consideration of being able to be successful at the game with limited time, you know, the Power Dad gaming thing, right? For reference, me 15 years ago, you know, I come from like super min-max hardcore. That's my background. My tempering of that attitude has come from someone who has had a job and, you know, responsibilities, having to mow lawn and everything, right? And having limited time to play. And I think the most important thing is setting your expectations for like what the game is, what it provides for you versus what you are able to do. And like what the game encourages you to, you know, where you find the fun in the game and everything, right? And you'll set your expectations based on what the game is and what their game design decisions are and all that, right? You know, GGG, the one thing you can say about them 100% is they are very, very consistent on their game design, their manifesto, their beliefs, what they think the game should be. And all of these changes, like literally all of these changes, they were saying it, are making the game, they're bringing the game closer to its original DNA, where it started. Like, for reals. This is making the game closer to their actual original vision. You know, they're just being consistent. They do their best to keep to their promises and stick to that stuff. You know, they're flawed, but they do their best. You know, I think that's the first thing to keep in mind, right? The first thing to keep in mind is just that GGG is consistent and they do their best to stick to that stuff. And sometimes they fall short, but they do their best. No one's gonna download Civilization. I don't even know what they're on, 5, 6, like one round of that game, right? Or like one full game of Civilization. You know, will take like 10 to 20 hours minimum, right? I wouldn't want to argue that like Civilization doesn't respect your time, right? Like the game just does what it does. Like the game just does what it does. Like this is a game. If you install this game, you will not finish a game in less than 20 hours, right? That's just the way it works. You know, similar with PoE, like there is just a lot more content than there used to be. That's just like the trend that it's been. It does take more and more time to get, like, as they just keep adding more content at the end, no matter what, it will take longer and longer to get there. But if anything, like the way that I look at it, them making the axe harder and also trying to make the loot better there and all of that honestly makes it more what you're actually doing when you're playing the game and how you're enjoying that becomes more meaningful, and you get to engage with the game on a meaningful basis in a sooner. And it actually, to me, it is actually respecting your time more rather than like they're trying to push it away from trying to rush to the maps and grind out currency, get really rich, you know, kill Cirrus and then finish the game. Like they're trying to push it away from that and actually extend where the meaningful decisions are all throughout the game, instead of just like having it like very, very back end focused. There's a lot of setup, so, to get everything set up, unlocking the full atlas and all that, and that could definitely use some trimming. It's getting a little intense for sure. But I think the big thing is figuring out how you can enjoy the journey no matter what. Like as we, get older and take on responsibilities and everything, there will be less time to play the game. I think if you want to continue to play the game, that has always demanded a lot of time, right? Like, 10 years ago, if you wanted to reach those high-end power levels, you did have to grind the game a lot anyway. It's a totally different world, but you did have to grind the game a lot. Like one map could take you half an hour, and you were picking up every single piece of loot and like exalting maps and everything, right? 10 years ago, if you had children and a mortgage and all that, someone 10 years ago, a 40-year-old gamer couldn't do that. Very similar to today, if you can only play a game 2 hours a week, that this is just either try to find how to find fun in those 2 hours, and that's the thing that I want to show people. Is like you can have fun playing the game. 2 hours a week might be like really, really low, but 10 hours a week, 5 to 10 hours a week, I think you can still, by stepping back and thinking about how the game works, talking about the game with people, learning about it. That's like what my content, a lot of the focus of my content is like we can instead of grinding the game for like really, really crazy, being inefficient, we can devote 25 to 50% of our time researching, improving ourselves, and then using that 50% within the game to that 50 to 75% of our time within the game to actually just being more efficient, being able to do the stuff, and extracting fun in a much better way. And the other thing I really, really tell people is don't compare yourself to the streamers that are playing 8 to 16 hours a day. No matter what video game it is, no matter if it's real life, someone playing football, right? You can't compare yourself to a football player that is practicing for 16 hours a day. And similarly, you can't, if you're just going to a rec league and you play like one football game on the weekend with your buddies, you can't compare yourself to the professional that devoted their life to it. And then, very similarly, as you take on responsibilities, like, oh, I got a kid, I got a mortgage, I can't, oh, guess what? Sorry, guys, I can't meet you guys at the soccer field or football field and play on Saturday. I have to take my kid to, to ballet practice or something. I think it's just a very, very similar thing, and that's the way that I think about it. But we can still find ways to have fun with the game, and that's what I want to try to show people. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I'm a little worried about the flask stuff, but other than that, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I mean, I want everything to be accessible-ish, right? But if I played World of Warcraft, I guess it's tough to compare to an MMO, right? But like if you played an MMO. And we're kind of inching closer to an MMO the way they keep adding content to the game. If I played an MMO, right, and I only had like 4 to 6 hours a week, 4 to 10 hours a week even, I wouldn't expect to do a lot of the content in the game. I can't do a 40-man raid. I know they don't even do those anymore, but I couldn't do a 40-man raid just because I don't have time, right? And certain content is just gated behind, and I don't think that's like necessary or even true about PoE at all. That may be a thing that as they do buff the difficulty, at a certain point, something might just be hard to do. It might just be hard to do, require mechanical skill, require actually practicing the game and figuring out how to get better at the game and all that. And you can't just like throw gear on any old character and expect to do all the content in the game. I'm not sure if that's what they want to do, but that, with the feared especially, that might be a direction that they want some content to be. The league goes at 3 months at a time, and you can always play standard. And really, like, you have infinite time in standard. You have literally infinite time in standard. The league specifically says this is 3 months. And in fact, the GGG's official stance is that standard is called standard for a reason. That is actually the default way that they expect people to play the game. The game is set up such that standard is the easy way to just get in there, start working on stuff, play the game as relaxing as you want to, and have zero time pressure whatsoever. And I really think that like standard is a very strong option if you can't get through all the content that you want to in 3 months. And 3 months later, if they think it is a good thing they want to integrate into the game, that league will get pushed into standard, and there you go. And all the big stuff, Maven, Cirrus, the Conquerors, Shaper, Elder, that stuff will always go into standard. How do you feel about the league mechanic, Ariels? That's a good question. As with all league mechanics, the real answer is going to be how rewarding is it? How rewarding is it versus doing other things, right? So as we saw, like, you know, like the geed gambling stuff, like all the gambling type of stuff is like really cute, but is that going to be worth, as a trade league player, as someone who plays softcore trade, is the chance of getting random garbage worth my effort versus grinding for something and buying / crafting, right? Like that random crafting thing, the random, like, oh, you trade with the bigger guy, then he'll do like reroll prefixes or reroll suffixes, and you don't even get to choose the base item. That to me sounds like worse harvest crafting, like really bad harvest crafting. And that seemed awful to me. That seemed actually awful to me. Like maybe in Soul Self-Found you can make good items, but in Trade League, that I don't see the point of that whatsoever. Maybe there's something I'm missing there. Unless there's like a guaranteed, like maybe if they put in like old harvest power there, like add remove fire, add remove caster, something like that, that would be how you could make something. And if you get like a bunch of options, right? Like you'd have to have like 20 steps, and you could do like add remove stuff. Maybe you could get like the old harvest crafting that way. You know, the pulling the random unique stuff out randomly, fine, super mega gambling. The actual like Legion / Blight / Abyss / whatever the heck mechanic could be cute. You know, the answer is how rewarding is it, right? How rewarding is it compared to anything else? The boss fighting and the theme looks really cool, but the mechanic, who knows, right? Like, because like Blight League, you know, as cute as Blight League was, I have same with Ritual also, between both Ritual and Blight League, and also Ultimatum. Ultimatum, you know, if I wasn't forced to do it for challenges, I just would skip it. I would, as soon as I hit 40 out of 40, I don't touch those things ever again, right? They're like effectively pointless to do. So we will see. We'll see how that plays out. But I think addressing power creep is a very important thing. What Chris said is incredibly important, and obviously people lose sight of that. And it's really easy. Like every time something that you care about or like your expected power level gets nerfed, it feels really bad. I mean, Evol, I trust GGG. They've been overall making very good decisions. They've been piloting this game for 10 years, and how many games can you say have been out for 10 years this successfully and have been this fun and interesting for this long? Very close to zero. Very close to zero. Chris said is like, you do have to, you know, the power creep treadmill feels awful. And I want them to, I think it's very important for them to address that as soon as possible, which is what they're doing. Because the power creep treadmill, like you just have the old, like look at the first, I don't know, 3 to 5 5 World of Warcraft expansions where all they did was put a 0 at the end of every number. Like, oh, you do 10 times more damage, the monsters have 10 times more life. You do 10 times more damage, you take 10 times less damage, the monsters do 10 times more damage. And that was literally all that World of Warcraft was for like its first 5 expansions. And that's why I quit that game. It felt awful. The balancing team just, you know, they gave up. They didn't know how to work on the game anymore. As much as I like zooming, you know, maybe a little bit more deliberate gameplay might feel good. I think, you know, hold our judgment on that one. The first couple of things I said was, oh no. Yeah, like I want to be super fair to both sides. Sid. Yeah, I want to be super fair to both sides, right? You know, I come from the background of being, you know, a guild leader in World of Warcraft pushing raid progression, right? Where like if you weren't fully prepared, I was like, get out of my raid right now. Get out of my raid. Give me someone who actually cares, right? I was the hardcore player. But I have the perspective of being on the other side now, and I think the right thing is just to, you know, have a balanced take and just be realistic about what you're able to do in your life. It sounds snarky, but if you don't, Path of Exile is a game that does ask a lot from the players. It does ask, and it's not about not respecting the player. It's they set their expectations, and they tell you up front, like this is a game where, you know, even a practiced player, it's going to take you 6 to 10 hours just to begin the end game. Even for a very practiced player, 6 to 10 hours. And then for like an average player, you know, an average experienced player, probably about 15 to 20 hours, right? That's the beginning of the end game. And minimum, even if you're really good, the end game will ask hundreds of hours of you every 3 months, right? Hundreds of hours just to unlock your Atlas, kill Maven, you know, unlock everything in your Atlas, at least a couple 100 hours minimum. And if that's not something that you can, it's not about not respecting the player's time. It tells you, you know, they tell you this is what it's going to take. You know, just know what you're getting into. And it can be sad. It can absolutely be sad that, you know, you have moved on in your life and you don't have time for those type of things anymore. I totally understand. But yeah, just set your expectations, set personal goals. Like, hey, I know I only have 4 hours a week. My goal is to kill Cirrus once this league, right? and that's a realistic goal. And I think that's what you should do, or standard league, right? Also, if you're not having fun with the game, you know, there's always the nuclear option. So like the big thing is, if a specific game is just not fun for you, if a specific game is just not fun for you, or its manifesto and its goals do not align with what you're able to do in your life, I would really encourage you to, you know, step back and try to choose something that does bring you joy, right? At the end of the day, that's what's important, you know. And if a game is making you angry or sad, literally, I would, you know, you'll have way more fun reading a book, going for a walk outside, you know, picking some blueberries and some raspberries, making some fresh oatmeal, throwing those in with a couple of pecans or walnuts or something. Put some brown sugar in there. Oh, some fresh maple syrup straight out of Vermont. And, you know, just sit out on your porch and eat your oatmeal, pet your cat, and enjoy life, because life is very, very, very short. And so just go, like, this game is literally just a bunch of bits on a computer controlled by some company in New Zealand. You have no, you know, you don't have to have an emotional connection with it. It's just a game. So, you know, enjoy your oatmeal and your blueberries. You know, read a book, go for a walk, enjoy life. It's just a video game at the end of the day. You missed the announcement. You need info. Very heavy flask rework. Flask will work very, very differently. And they are nerfing literally everything and trying to make the game much, much harder. So hopefully that helped put things in a little bit better perspective for some folks. I really want to try to encourage people to keep an open mind and understand that we've been having nerfs all along for the past 10 years. You know, we get some power creep, but GGG always cuts it down, and they understand what it takes to keep the game fun for a long time. You know, they definitely have had some pretty big messed ups here and there without making some tough decisions. Sometimes a game can get out of control, and we lose sight of what kept the game fun in the first place. So keep our eyes and our minds open, and hopefully this league won't be a raging hot fire, and everything will go well. I'm very optimistic, and yeah, thanks for watching. And if you like the video, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good fun stuff. And hope to see you on the Discord or the Twitch stream as well. Don't tell me from an hour ago, but he totally forgot to finish his outro. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, and see you next time. Thank you. I would like to give a special shout out to my patrons: Tricky Nick, Amarius, Bifrost50, Mark Hahn, Nafin L, Rentner, Aaron White, Colin, Exverdidius, Gazer1990, Michael Rack, Mr. Dobolina, Nicolaj, and Whoop. If you would like to get your own name in the credits of my videos and some other cool stuff, go to patreon.com/subtractum. Thank you.